This project is supported by Quantum Paradigm.
Today we're tackling something that pretty much runs our entire lives every single day. Our emotions, how do they actually work? And more importantly, how do we get a handle on them? Well, let's find out by digging into the amazing ideas from Tibo Mariss's guide, Master Your Emotions. You know, it's kind of weird when you think about it, right? We learn how to use a new phone, how to build furniture, but nobody ever sits us down and gives us the instruction manual for our own brain. We're just kind of thrown into the deep end and expected to figure out how to handle jealousy, anxiety, or anger. And that simple fact is really the starting point for this whole conversation. So here's the game plan for our explainer. First, we're going to look at our brain's weird little negative glitch. Then we'll crack the code on the surprisingly simple formula that creates every emotion you feel. After that, we'll get our hands dirty with some tools to actually rewrite those feelings. And finally, we'll see how to turn your emotions into your greatest superpower. Negative glitch. So first things first, if you want to master your emotions, you have to understand your brain's factory settings. And here's the kicker. That default setting isn't there to make you happy. Nope, it's there to keep you alive. Why does one bad review hurt? Think about this for a second. You could get 50 compliments, but that one negative comment is the one that just sticks with you. It replays in your head over and over again. Why on earth does our brain work like that? Well, it's not just you, it's everybody, and there's a really good reason for it. It's not a personal failing, and this is so important to get. It is not a personal flaw. It's not a weakness, it's a feature. It's your brain running on ancient software that was designed thousands of years ago with one mission: survive. Happiness? Well, that was just a nice to have, not a need to have. Ancient threat versus modern threat. And this is where it all gets a little messy in the modern world. That ancient software was fantastic for spotting danger, like a tiger hiding in the grass. But today, that same red alert system goes off for public speaking or a tough email. The physical threat is gone, but our body's reaction can feel just as intense. Your brain's primary responsibility, this quote from the book just nails it. Your brain's primary responsibility is not to make you happy, but to ensure survival. And just understanding that, really letting it sink in, is the first step to stop letting that ancient programming run your life on autopilot. Happiness pie chart. Now, this is where things get really hopeful. Research shows our happiness breaks down like this. About 50% is just our genetic lottery, but look at the rest. Only 10%, just 10, is based on our external situation, like our job or how much money we have. A massive 40% comes from our internal state, our thoughts, our mindset. That is a huge piece of the pie that you have direct control over. Emotion formula. So that 40%, that's our playground. That's where we can make real change. But how? Well, it starts by understanding how feelings are actually made because, and this is the big secret, they aren't random. There's a formula. Step recipe. It all boils down to this surprisingly simple 3-step recipe. It starts with an interpretation. Then you identify with that interpretation, and finally you repeat it. And boom, the end result is a strong, powerful emotion. Let's look at each ingredient. Interpretation. Okay, so interpretation. This is the big one. An event happens. That event by itself is totally neutral. Take rain, for instance. Rain is just rain, water falling. But if you're a farmer, it's a blessing. If you're heading to a picnic, it's a disaster. The rain didn't change. The story you told yourself about it did. You identify, right? So after you pick your story, your interpretation, you start to identify with it. You say, yep, this is true. My day is ruined. Then you just hit repeat. You play that thought on a loop, and every you identify with your interpretation, then repeat the thought. This repetition builds a strong emotional habit in your brain. Time you do, you carve that pathway a little deeper in your brain, making it easier and faster to feel that exact same way next time. Rewrite feelings. So the good news is, if we know the recipe, we can change the ingredients. This is where we get practical. Let's open up the toolkit and see how we can actually rewrite these feelings. 2 levers for change, and it really boils down to 2 main moves you can make. You can either jump in at the very beginning and change your interpretation, or you can deal with the emotion after it's already there by learning to let it go. What if this isn't a problem? Yeah? So how do you pull that first lever? Honestly, it can be as simple as asking yourself a better question. When something bad happens, our default is, this is a huge problem. But what if you stopped and consciously asked, okay, what if this is actually an opportunity? What can I learn here? That one question can literally change everything. Letting go. Now for that second lever, letting go, which can sound a bit vague, but here's a super concrete process. Just focus on the feeling you want to release. Then ask yourself, could I let this go? Not will I, just could I? It's a question about possibility, then would I? A question of willingness. And finally, when? The only real answer is now. It's an incredibly powerful way to just release that baggage. Emotions as compass. And all of this leads us to the biggest, most empowering idea of all. What if we've been looking at this whole thing backwards? What if our emotions aren't the enemy? What if they're actually our most trusted allies? Old view versus new view. See, the old way of thinking is that bad feelings are, well, bad. We need to fight them, ignore them, push them down. But the new view is that emotions are just messengers. They're data. They're trying to tell you something really, really important. Emotional pain is like physical pain. Think about it like this. If you put your hand on a hot stove, you wouldn't get mad at the pain, would you? You'd be grateful for the signal that's telling you, hey, move your hand. Emotional pain is exactly the same thing. Anxiety, anger, sadness, they're just powerful signals that something in your life or in your thinking needs your attention. They're a call to action. Your emotions are sending you a message. And that really leaves us with one final big question. Your emotions are constantly sending you messages. They're your built-in compass, always trying to point you toward growth. The only question is, are you listening?